well. I want to be fundamentally clear. There's a lot of misunderstanding about the conflict that's occurring in Venezuela. A lot of people talk to me about the opposition, and while indeed they are in opposition to Maduro's regime, they are in fact the majority party in the National Assembly. In essence, they are the majority, not the opposition. The problem is that the people with the guns and the army who are in charge of Venezuela have canceled democracy. For those, I imagine, attending this hearing today, you do so because you have an interest in it. For those who may watch it now or in the future, you need to understand that what's happened there is the following, and I apply what's happened there to what it would be like if it happened here. Imagine if the United States had an executive branch that basically took over the Supreme Court and put political cronies on it, canceled all funding and all function of the Congress, both House and Senate, went further and actually ordered the Capitol Police to attack the United States Congress if we tried to conduct our functions, cut off all operations, no salaries, no paper, no ink, nothing, no lights in terms of being able to meet. In essence, completely wiped out an elected National Assembly under the Constitution of that country. Imagine further they announced, we're not holding elections. We're not holding elections this year for governors and the legislative branch. We're not holding elections in the future for president. In fact, we're going to put together this fraudulent assembly, and we are going to impose a Cuban-style dictatorship under the guise of some sort of popular governance. That is the situation in Venezuela. Imagine even further, if, as an element of all this, elements within the government armed non-uniformed individuals and ordered them into the streets to attack protesters and beat them as part of militias. That is the situation in Venezuela. Or conduct trumped-up charges where they basically arrest political opponents, accuse them of ridiculous things, and jail them for extensive periods of time without charge and without recourse to the courts. That is the situation in Venezuela. And that is what brings us to this point. For what the people of Venezuela, the overwhelming majority of people in Venezuela, are asking for is simply a return to constitutional order. And I would say to you that it is not just the people that don't like the current leadership. It is people that actually agreed with Hugo Chavez. There are actually people that were supporters of Hugo Chavez and of the Constitution of Venezuela that have now aligned themselves with that cause, simply not because they ideologically agree with some members of the opposition, but because above all else, they want to see the rule of law restored. Chief among those voices is the current Attorney General of Venezuela, who on a steady pace over a period of time has begun to be critical of the Maduro regime. Today, she's now being charged with crimes for having done so. This is the horrifying situation. And if on the 30th of July, they move forward with this Constituent Assembly, which is a fraud, it will be, for the first time in my recollection, a nullification of the constitutional democratic order of a nation in this hemisphere in probably over 40 years. There have been coups d'etats, there have been strongmen that have emerged from time to time and disrupted the constitutional and democratic order, and there have most certainly been non-democratic leaders elected who then have not governed as Democrats. But we have never seen a structural imposition of a Cuban-style model in over 4 decades in the region. It would be tragic. It would be tragic anywhere. It is especially tragic that it is happening in Venezuela, a nation blessed with educated, entrepreneurial people, with a deep culture of democracy, and by the way, one of the richest nations in the world. One of the richest nations in the world with natural resources and human resources that today, its people cannot buy toilet paper, cannot buy toothpaste, and cannot access basic medications in their hospitals. All of it the direct result of the Maduro regime's decision. And finally, further complicating this matter is the existence within that government of narco-trafficking elements. Multiple leaders and figures in that regime who, in addition to operating governmental entities, are also involved in narco-trafficking activity to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions. We have a catastrophe.